we are going to with Python. And I know that some of you didn't attend my previous sessions. So from today onwards, we are going to have a backup session. From today onwards, like after the class, after this class, after this Python regular class, we are going to have a quick backup session. If someone wanted to attend it and someone wanted to just refresh it, they are most welcome to do that. So it will maybe 1 hour daily. After this session, 1 hour daily. If you are prepared, it's okay. If you are not prepared, then we can start it from tomorrow also. Because this Python programming and the one which at least for next 15 to 20 class, there is no relationship is there. This is altogether a different one. That is altogether a different one. Then after that, we are going to club up. So, you are okay for today's session? For extended one? No, the people who are don't want, you are already attending, you can leave, no problem about that. The people who didn't attended previously, they can join this one after this session. We will continue the same. Okay, that will be maybe after 1 hour or so. So if you are comfortable, you can be there. Or if you want to go with tomorrow, we will do it tomorrow also. Not like you don't plan. I don't think that all of them are planned for this. If anyone is not planned, so we can skip it, friend. We can start it from tomorrow as well. Not a problem for me, because for next 1 week or so, 1 hour, we are going to take it. So next at least 5 days, we are going to cover this all backup sessions. Okay. Now, how many are from the programming background here? No one? Achuga? Radha? Questions adutana? Okay. So, like, let's see that what is the programming. Now, what is your, like, anyone from the computer science background? You don't know the programming, huh? Yours? Okay. Any programming language? Any programming language. I'm not talking about Python, any programming language. Without that, how you paisa diye? Paisa lichna, degree ki? Mari? Easy to pass, but still you have to know that programming language. Without that, that's what I'm asking. Any programming knowledge is knowledge only. Ichno. Huh? You ma'am? Which one? C, C++. Yeah, that is fine. See guys, knowing one programming language is enough in your lifetime. To move on to the next one is like, if you learn a bike, one bike, it is easy to drive the other bike, or the one car, is it easy to drive the other cars? It is not that you have to go from the starting, right? It's like that only. The programming language, everything will be the same. Only thing is that you have to be prepared to do it. So let's start with what is a computer programming language? Okay. Yeah, it will be clear soon because it will be sometimes a bit blur. Just check it out, guys, because most of the time it should not be any problem. Just check it out once again. 1 second, just charging this one. Okay. Let's talk about what is a programming language. Yeah, it will happen. It will take some time, but it will happen. Says the screen clarity. So let's talk about a simple thing, guys. Now I'm communicating with you people. Okay. I'm communicating with you. How I'm communicating? Language. So the purpose of a language is to communicate between any two objects. Now, objects means anything. It can be this in Python. It can be anything. So you are here over here. Just think that this is not being recognized. Yeah. Now this is me. Okay. Now I'm communicating with you all over here. How I'm doing it? Like with the help of a language over here, right? Now, this language is the one which we are using to communicate between me and you people. Now, you are on, some people are online, some people are offline. Everyone is able to understand what I'm speaking it out. Why? How you are able to understand? Because I am using a common language which you can understand, where I can speak it out. Okay. This is the means of an effective communication. The purpose of the language is to communicate between two objects. Any two objects, if you're going to take it, if you want to communicate between these two objects, that is called as a language. Again, there will be an effective language. Effective communication is non-effective. What is non-effective means? I'm speaking in somewhat like in Telugu. You don't know Telugu. Then what will happen? It is not an effective communication. Or, I'm speaking in Japanese. Obviously, you people don't know the Japanese. So you will not understand anything. But still, I'm using the language. So again, the effective communication is when the communication is done completely, like when I'm speaking in a language which you understand. And when this is done, effective communication is done, that is the purpose of a language. The purpose of the language is to do the communication between two objects effectively. That is what the language. Now, suppose, just imagine, I'm over here and I got a business client over here. Just imagine, this is my business client. And he is a guy from Japan. And I am from India. And I know English. I can speak in English, but this guy don't know English. So I'm trying to communicate over here to English, but what will happen? He will not understand. It will go over him. Right? He will not understand whatever I'm speaking. So in that case, what we are going to do, what is the options? I have to communicate with that guy. He is my business partner. So I have to communicate. So what I will do I will use a translator over here. What this translator will do, he will be knowing the English as well as Japanese both. And whatever I'm communicating to him, he will communicate to this person. And whatever he's speaking, he will be translating to me over here. That is the purpose of this translator. Okay? Clear? Now we have seen that, direct communication with the common language, and second one is with a translator. Now let's talk about what is computer language. Now, when I wanted to communicate with an electronic device called as a computer, then we should use a language. The language should be used right over there. Again, it's me over here. And if I want to communicate, okay, it's me over here, and I want to communicate with a computer over here. This is my computer, laptop. Now, how I will communicate? To communicate this one, to do the communication, I use a language called as computer programming language, guys. Okay? Computer programming language. Now you know that what is a computer programming language. This is specially used to communicate with the computer. Okay. Now, what are the different computer programming languages we are having? So usually there's a study says that thousands of languages are there in the computer programming language, but only few are into the limelight because they are very, very flexible. The other ones are designed for a specific purpose. So that's why they are not so effectively came into. So the very famous computer programming languages are C. Yeah, this is a very famous one. And C++, equally powerful. And there is something called as Java. And there is C#. Okay, and they call it as Python, and there are many, many more are there. And in the Python, we are having something called as 2.x and 3.x, guys. Okay. Now, these are some of the examples of the programming language through which we can communicate. Okay. All are used to communicate between a human and the computer. All these are all the six, all the five, whatever I'm talking about, all are used to communicate, do the communication between a human and the computer, right? But why we need so many? We can have only one, right? Why? Anyone? Why we need so many languages, guys? Simple. Like there's a bike, right? Everyone must be having a bike. How many bikes will be there? How many different brands of the bikes are there? So many are there. Why so many? We can have only one, right? They are doing the same purpose. It's just a competitors. That's it. Okay, this is also, see, this is just like an advancement. Now, this one was released by someone else. So this one was developed by someone else. The Python was developed by some different companies develop their own different languages. Okay, that's it. The major purpose is to communicate, do the communication between the human and machine. What is a machine over here? The computer. Okay. Now the question is, this is clear. Any question till now? No. Good. I have a question now. How you will do the communication? How you will do the communication? Huh? What is a program? I don't know. What is pro? Tell me what is program? You use the word program, right? You know bike? You know bike? What is bike? You're saying something, right? What is program? Tell me. Yeah, what you said is perfect, 100% perfect. But what is program? Yeah, that is what is computer programming language. But what is a program over there? Yes? Anyone? Yeah. Yeah, collection of instructions. Okay, the program is nothing but it is a set of instructions, guys. Now, a simple way. Now, you hired a worker for a day. Just imagine you hired a worker thinking that, okay, the people are given some. No, that is not the answer. So it's going on. Now, you hired a worker for a day. Just imagine. So you got the worker to do some work. Okay, for a day you hired him. So you're having a plans. So what you'll do is like you got the worker and you want to make him do some work over here. I think that there's something wrong with this. Okay. Now this is the worker I'm having. This is the worker. Now this worker has to do the work for a day, complete day. I wanted him to do the work. But what happens is now this worker is having, now I got suddenly some work in the middle. I got the worker and I felt that I'm having some work in the middle. I went out. I have to go out. So when I'm going out, I will not leave the worker just to sit like that, right? What you'll do? You will give him the set of work. What he has to do it. Okay, first clean the garden or wash the car or something like that. You will give him the work. Complete work till you return back. Right? You will give a complete set of work till you return back. This is called as instructions. These are instructions. You are giving the instructions to the worker to do the work over there. In the same way, now when you are communicating with the computer, directly you can't communicate like this, what we are doing it. So what you are going to do, you are going to put a set of instructions or the task. You can say that what is the task it has to perform. You will ask the computer to perform set of instructions and make the computer do those tasks one after the other. Okay, make the computer to do the task one after the other. Yeah, you can sit. Or you can sit inside somewhere. It's much better. Or here, I think it's fine. Okay, guys. So what you are going to do, you are going to give the set of instructions to the, to the work. The same way, when you are communicating with the computer, what you are going to do, you are going to put a set of instructions in a set of instructions, one after the other, and you are going to say to the computer. Now the question is where you are going to put these instructions. Now we know that computer language is nothing but communicate between the human and the computer. Now, what the question came down, how you will communicate? That is using a program. What is a program? Program is nothing but a set of instructions, what the computer has to do it. Okay, we know that what is the computer has to do. Now, where you have to put this instruction? You will speak to the computer or you will write on the paper? No. There will be a special area called as editor, or they call it as IDE. Usually they will call it as editor. Now you are going to put on the set of instructions over here. Now instructions are nothing but an executable statements. Okay, it is called as executable statements, guys. Now let me show you like where you have to put these instructions. Okay, where you have to put the instructions. We will put it in a program, but where is this program is written actually? This program is written in an environment called as editor. Okay, this editor will be powered by the Python, and we are going to write the code over there. Now let me see that if I have it, this PyCharm with me. Now there are many like lot of editors are there, guys, and one of the very popularly known editor is called as PyCharm. Okay, one of them is called as PyCharm, and the other ones are Jupyter Notebook and like Colab. The Jupyter Notebook is specially used for our data science, for data manipulation and all those things. We are going to use the Jupyter Notebook, but PyCharm is a one which is effectively used for the application development, guys. Application development. Okay. Now we are going to look at this one. Now first phase of our learning, we are going to do it in the PyCharm for some time, okay, till you are comfortable with the programming. Then we slowly jump into the Jupyter Notebook or the Colab. Okay, we will do that. With that, you will be having two editors in your hand. Like you can put down that two editors in your resume that I worked on 2 editors or 3 editors also you can put it on, like PyCharm, Jupyter Notebook and Colab, these 3. Okay, now let's see this. Now I will just put it on. I will create it. Now, not to worry about that. I will tell you how to download it. The people who already downloaded, that's well and good. Now I'm going to create a folder over here. Like, okay, I will give it a folder name as, data science with 930. Now here I will say I created a folder. How to create it? Right click, new, and directory. Directory is a folder we are going to create it, and then we are going to do it. Now this is all this. Okay, got it. Now I'm going to create a file. Right click on this, new, and then there is a Python file over here. Just click on this. It will ask the name first file. I'm going to give it as first file. Now it will give me an editor over here. Okay. Now this is the editor, guys. Now just leave out this one. This is the editor. Now whatever you are going to write over here, that should be executable. What do you mean by executable? That is nothing but that should be a task-oriented line. Okay, task-oriented line. So this task-oriented line, now for example, I'm writing a simple print. Okay, now this one I'm writing is good morning all. Okay, now what is this? I'm writing a line over here, and this line is executable. Executable means it can execute it. When it do the execution, it will perform a task. What is the task over here? It has to print the good morning all onto the output screen. Okay, onto the output screen. That is it. Now I will execute it. Let me take it to the maximum. Run it. You will see that run first file. Okay. Now, usually you can see here also, don't use it over here. Yep, coming. Now you right click on this and you see this first file. Okay. When you click on this, automatically it will be running over here. Good morning all. Okay. This area where the output is printed is called as console. Okay, these are the technical terminologies who are very new to this programming, because future we are going to use these words a lot. So this area is called as console. This is called as an editor where you are going to write the instructions. Instructions are nothing but, executable lines. Okay, executable lines means which are having a task. For that, each and every line is having a task. What is this line is having the task? Its purpose is whatever is there inside this, it has to print onto the screen. Okay, guys, clear? Now this is what is. Now let's take it one more line. I will take it, print again, and here I will say that welcome to Python class. Okay, this is one line. This is another line. How many instructions are there? 2 lines, 2 instructions are there. So that is, in other words, 2 executable statements are there over here. How many? 2 executable statements are there. What is the first one? Is also having a task. What is this? It has to print good morning. Second one is having welcome to Python. Now, if you do this one after the other, it will be printed, guys. Okay? Clear? Now, these are executable lines. Now, whatever you are going to write in this editor should be executable. That is task-oriented. Got it? Now, this task-oriented lines in the technical terminology. Now, task-oriented lines, executable, these are the simple English, right? Now, as we move deeper and deeper, now the term which is used for this executable lines is called as a statement. Usually they call it as a statement. Statements are nothing but the executable lines inside the editor is called as a statement. Okay, guys. Now we have seen what is a program. What is a program, guys? Set of instructions. Program is set of instructions. Now, where you are going to write these instructions? We are going to write it in the editor. Editor, we are going to write the instructions, right? We are going to write in the editor. Now, in the editor, whatever you are going to write it should be executable. Okay? Should be executable. That is, the executable means they are having a task oriented. So this task oriented lines in the technical terminology is called as statement. Okay? Statement. So nothing but what is a statement? It is an executable line in the editor is called as a statement. Is called statement. Again, this statement can be of 2 types. Okay, these statements can be of 2 types. Now, you know this. This again, the multiple statements together is called as a program. In a simple terminology, we know that what is instruction. The instruction is nothing but executable line. This executable line in the programming terminology called as a statement. So that we can define the program as like multiple statements together in an editor is called as a program. Okay, in a statements, multiple statements in an editor is called as a program. That is a purely, you can say that in the set of instructions in the place of set of executable statements. Set of, instead of, you can say that set of executable statements. Statements is called as a program. You can see that instructions or set of executable. Now, why I'm using the term executable each and every time means there are some non-executable statements can also be there in the editor. Okay, as of now, you go with whatever you have to write it should be executable inside the editor. Okay, any questions, guys? We know it. What is a programming language? We know what is a program. We know what is the executable statements, and we know what is the statements. Okay, statement. These statements can be of 2 types. One is a single line statement. Second one is called as multi-line statement, guys. Multi-line statement. So what is a single line statement? Okay, a single line statement is a statement which starts in one line and ends in the same line is called as a single line statement. Okay, a statement which starts in the same line and ends in the same line is called as, statement which starts and ends in same line is called as a single line statement. Again, statement is executable, that is task oriented. Remember this, guys. Okay, now what is a multi-line statement? Again, it starts at one line and ends in another line. Yes, starts in one line and ends at another line. Okay, clear? Now this is, now let me show you what is now. Is this a single line statement or a multi-line statement? Sorry, single line statement. Two single line statement it is. Now what is a multi-line statement? Let's do this one. A is equals to, I'm giving it as 100. Okay, 100. What is happening over here? Who are from the Python background? क्या हो रहा है? Letter A, variable A. Variable A is assigned with a value 100. Great. Now, if I'm doing it like this, not take a, it will take, it will add this one and it will give the A as 300. Okay. If you have any doubt, I will execute it. Now, not to worry about, guys, if you are non-programming, let me explain you. 300. Okay? Clear? Don't look at like that, as if you are from the, you have learned Python, right? Some of you, this is a simple thing. Now, guys, what is happening over here is there are, like, let me explain you. This is called as assignment operator. The is equals to is there, single is equals to is an assignment operator. Now, we are going to see this one in the future in the operators, not to worry about. But as of now, I'm explaining what is happening over here. See, when I'm doing this one, okay, there is a value is there on the right hand side. Now, I'm taking this one is the left hand side and this one is the right hand side, right? A value from the right hand side is assigned to a variable A. Okay, now this is happening something like this. Okay, surprise. Share. Okay, so a value A is assigned to, 100 is assigned to a variable A, guys. Now, what is a variable? I'm going to explain you, not to worry about. As of now, you take it, there is a variable that has been assigned 100. Okay, now who is doing that? Who is doing this assignment? This operator is doing. That is the nature of the assignment operator. Whatever the right hand side. Now this one is the right hand side, guys, right hand side, and this one is the left hand side. Okay, it will take the right hand side value and assign it to the left hand side variable. Okay, who is doing that? Assignment operator is doing. So nature of the assignment operator is right hand side value will be assigned to the left hand side variable. Now you may ask me a question. What if the right hand side, if there is no value, it will not do it. It will trigger an error. Okay, so you should have a value over here or source of the value. Source of the value. So the nature of the assignment operator is it will take the value from the right hand side and put it in the variable left hand side. That is what, if you check it out, it is doing the 100, right? Clear? Now there is something is this way. B is a variable. B is a variable. As of now, take it this one as a variable only. Now I'm giving A. Now what is happening? What is the B value? Now I said that the value should be on the right hand side, but here it is a variable. So I said it a word like either it should be a variable or the source, either it should be a value or the source of the value. This is the source of the value. This is the source of the value which is giving us 100. Okay. Now how it is connected internally, I will tell you in just few minutes. Okay. Now if I am having something like this, okay, B is equals to 200, guys. B is equals to 200. Now 100 is assigned to A variable. 200 is assigned to B variable. Now what is the value of B over here? Huh? False. Who is that who said false? 4 maine karke. Huh? This is not an equal to. It is an assignment operator. If you do the double is equals to is an equal to. Okay, comparison. Now, what is this? Someone said it. Yeah, 100. What is this is happening is 100 is assigned to this one. 200 is assigned to this one. Now, A value will be assigned to B. Even though the B is having the 200, it will be overridden by the A value. Okay. Now, you can see this. Both will be having the 100, guys. Okay, clear? So you understood the nature of the assignment operator. It will assign the right side value to the left side variable. Okay, clear? Now, yeah, I just wanted to make some announcement that we will be having the backup session from today after the class. If anyone missed up any sessions, you are most welcome to attend it. After the class, maybe around 1 hour or 45 minutes it will be. It will be like gradually we are going to take it from today onwards till you are back to this. Again, that is nowhere connected to our Python. Python is again individually it is going on and we can learn it whatever we have done it previously. Okay? Clear? Okay. Now, clear guys? Now this is the nature is this. Now what is happening of this one is if I am doing something, previously I did it something like this. Okay, let's take it. 200. Now, what is this? A is 300, right? Why can't it be 100 then? It can be 100, right? It can assign. The nature of the assignment operator is take the value from the right hand side and put it in the left hand side, right? Now, this is the value. Why it is not assigning before? Because again, there is one more property of the assignment operator is it will execute at the last. First nature is it will take the right side value and put it on the left hand side. And second important nature is it is executed at the last. Now here you are having one operation. If you are having 100 operations also, it will say that let the all 100 operations perform. The assignment will be assigned at the last, executed at the last. That is the reason why we are getting it over here. Okay, guys. Now this is we are covering an assignment operator, which we usually do it in the future. Okay. Now, if I want to, this is a single line statement. Now, if I want to make it a, like multi-line statement, I can do it something like this. Okay. If I'm giving it multi-line statement, 300 over here, will it accept? No. Why? Anyone? Why? 400 also I will give it. Why? Huh? This one is considered as a value. Yeah. So that is not my question. My question was why it is not considering the second one. Why it is, guys? Anyone? Now, other words. How this statement knows that this is the end? Okay. Here you are saying that, okay, sir, there is a bracket is there. Here ending the bracket, it is considering end of the statement. Okay, what is this one then? How it will know? How the Python interpreter knows that this is the end of the statement? What is an interpreter we are going to talk about? This is the end of the statement. Because whenever you are going to do it, now if I want to go to the next line, guys, how you will go? Now here I wrote it. Okay, this is the line I wrote it. I finished it off. I want to go to the next line over here. How you will do it usually? You will type and enter, right? Whenever we type and enter, by default, you know, a character will be recorded over there, which will indicate that is EOL. EOL, that is end of the line. Okay, end of the line. So whenever we type and enter over here, so automatically here, a character will be inserted saying that this is the end of the line. End of the line. So here it is an EOL will be getting it over here. Again, the same thing you are doing it over here, something like that. There's no other lines are there after the end of the file. That is called as EOF will be assigned over here. That is called as end of the file. Okay, that I'm going to show you. So here, automatically what is happening is this is the actual statement should be in a single line. But when I'm taking it to the next line, you see this, I got a backslash. What is this backslash? This backslash says it is a connecting operator. It is called as connecting operator. It is saying to the interpreter that please don't stop over here. This is not my statement. This is its statement continuation is at the down over here. The statement continuation is down. Now when I print it, it will be totally adding it, guys. Totally it will add it. Now this is called as a multi-line statement. Can you see this? It's got 1000. If I'm removing this one, it will trigger or if I remove it like this, gives an error to us. You see? Now here it is an indentation error. I'm going to explain this. What is this indentation? Okay. Unnecessary spacing it is saying. You are giving an unnecessary spacing over there. Now you got it 300. This is covering the 300 only. Now, if you want to make this one also to be considered, then what we have to do? We have to give a connecting operator, which is a backslash. Once I'm giving a connecting operator, the interpreter will be considering these two guys. Okay, clear? Now, this is a multi-line statement, which is starting at one line and ending at another line. This is a one way. There is another way is also there. Like, you know, I will put it on over here. B is equals to, okay. Sorry. Okay. I can use it a parenthesis also. Removing this connecting operator, I can use the parenthesis. Now, this says that starting of the statement is over here, ending is over here. This is another way of writing a multi-line statement. Now, if you see this, both you are going to get the same output. Okay, guys? Okay? Clear? Both are the multi-line statements. There are multiple ways you can use the parenthesis. This is called as parenthesis. There is an square brackets, use it, but you will get the square brackets printed. You can use the braces, even you will get the braces printed. Now you see, if I'm using the square brackets over here, you will get the square brackets printed. Now see this. Parenthesis, it will not happen like this. But if you are using the square brackets, it will be printed. Now, if you are using the braces, guys, this will be printed. Okay. Sorry, this has to be removed. Here. So this is what is a multi-line statement I'm trying to show. So we have seen what is a programming language, what is a program, what is the instruction, what is the executable statement, which is an executable statement. And, you know, we can go forward called as a multi-line executable. There's two types will be there, single line executable statements and multi-line executable statements. Okay, guys, any questions? Now, in this program, now, what is this is doing? What is this is doing? I'm adding the values from, you know, 100, 200, 300, 400. And here I want to add it again, A also. So I want to add all these values and put it on over here. And then, sorry, I will use a connecting operator so that we should not have an error. Okay, here what I'm doing, this is adding, guys. How much we are going to get it? 1000, right? A is having 1000. In this case, Again, we will get the 1000 plus 1000. How much is that B value? 2000, right? It is adding it. Now let me print it like 102,000. Okay. Now, like this, there may be a like 100 lines program is there. This is a very small, like 4 lines, 5 lines. If there is an 100 lines program is there. Now you have to, I gave you an 100 lines program. What you will understand from that? Will you get anything? Okay. Yep. Come inside. Now let me show you a simple example. If I have any program with the lengthy one. Yeah. This is the one which is there. Yeah. Okay. There is a program is there over here. Now I will open up the project. Now I will write one more program, guys, for your sake. A simple program. I will use it and a second program. Okay. It's not to worry about, just ignore it. I'm printing it the values. I want to print the values from 1 to 100. Okay. 1, I in range of 1 to 100. I want to print it. And all I want to print it just by doubling it. I want to double it. Just I want to do the square of that one and I want to print it each and every value. Or let's take it as smaller number 20. Okay. I'm doing a small one. Starting from 1 to 20. I will be getting the values and I'm going to square it up and I have to print it. Again, let's ignore the syntax. Now you see this, you are going to get it all the values over here. Now, this one, I know it. Like this, maybe there may be like 100 lines of the program is there. Like that, maybe 1,000 lines of the program is there. Now, going through that program and learning what it is doing is like, crazy thing. 1,000 lines of the code, you have to go line by line and you have to go through what is that program is doing. It is a crazy thing again. So to avoid that situation, we can put down a note over here. If someone new comes over here to want to see, I want to say that this program is to print the square of numbers between 1 to 20. Square of numbers between 1 to 20. Like this, I want to give a note. This is a note, information about this particular program. Like if there is 1,000 lines of program is there. Now, if you have a few lines of the note, what is that program is doing? That will be really helpful for a new person, right? Who is coming and seeing, it will be really helpful for him. So, but what happens is if I am trying to execute it, see what will happen. It will give me an error. What is the error it is giving? This is the error which is giving me. Print, this is printing, okay, sorry. Printing square of numbers between 1 to 20. So here when I'm doing, I'm getting an error at this point. There is no error over here. There's no error over here. This is an error is there. Okay, this is an error. Now why we are getting an error? Why we are getting an error? See. As I said it, this is an editor, right? Editor, you have to write an instructions over there. Now, instructions is nothing but the executable statements, right? So, in order to write an executable statement, guys, okay, in order to write an executable statements, you have to follow some rules. There are some rules will be there. Simple rules will be there. You have to follow that rules while executing, while writing an executable statement. So if you are not following those rules, it will trigger an error. It will trigger an error. This error is called as syntax error. Now, whenever you are not following a rules while writing a code, that is a syntax error. Now, rules is nothing but a syntax. If you are not following the rules, that is called a syntax error. Now, if you take it over here, now I'm just removing this part. I'm just doing a print. We did it previously. Welcome to Python class, right? Is there any error? Now, previously there was no error. It was running perfectly for us. Now, see this. I'm removing the parenthesis, ending of the parenthesis. I'm removing. See the error, guys, coming up. You see? syntax error. It is showing us a syntax error over here. Why it is showing? We are not following the rules. So these rules which we have to follow while writing a program is called as a syntax, guys. And if you are not following the rules, if you are getting an error, that is called as syntax error. Now, whenever you see this syntax error, you should understand that you are not following the rule. Okay. Now, this whatever you write it in this editor should be, executable. First thing, should be executable. Second thing, it has to be followed some rules, okay, in the editor. Now, if you are not following any rules, that will trigger an error. Okay. Now, in this case, what I'm doing is, here I'm not following the rules, but I don't want to follow the rules over here. This is not a program. This is not an executable statement. What is this? This is just an information I'm putting on. Just an information I'm putting. This is the information for my next level person who is coming in. So this type of putting on information at the top of the program is called as documentation. Usually they will call it as documentation. Now, this is very, very important. Very, very important. And it shows the quality of a programmer also when you mention the documentation at the top. If you are a really experienced guy, you will write the documentation of the program at the top. Okay. But unfortunately, this interpreter is not allowing me to do that. It is considering this as a statement. And statement should be following some rules, that is syntax rules. It is saying that you are not following the syntax over here. Now see this, I will execute this one. It is saying that syntax error. But I am not writing the code over here. What is this? This is just an information. So what I will do it is, I will request the interpreter not to consider this as a program. I want to request the interpreter not to consider this as a program. How I will do it? I will convert this one into comment. Okay. So this is what is called as a comment. Use a hash in front of the line, So wherever you used it, from there till the end of the line, it will be considered as a comment. Comment means non-executable lines in the program. That is, interpreter will ignore it. As soon as it is seen this one, interpreter says that, okay, I'm not supposed to execute it. I will execute it from here. Got it? This is a non-executable lines in an program or an editor is called as a comment. Okay. Now you see this. Previously I was getting an error. Now you will not get an error. Got it? Now these comments will be again two types. One is single line comment and multi-line comment. Okay? हाँ भाई, कुछ दिक्कत है? Sorry? दिख नहीं रहा? फॉन्ट बढ़ानी है? पता नहीं. एडिटर फॉन्ट हो जाएगा क्या यहाँ पे? कितना लगाओ? कहाँ से देखनी है आपको? वही यहाँ पर लिखना बहुत दिक्कत हो जाएगा यार. So it will be very difficult for me to write. For small line, I have to write it like this. 16 तो काफी है. ये दिख रहा है ना? सामने आ जाओ नहीं तो. अब बोलो, दिख रहा है या नहीं दिख रहा? हाँ, दिखेगा. Okay, is it okay now? If you want, I will increase it a little bit. But you know, when we are writing the code, like I have to go multiple lines here and there. So that's why I'm doing it. So, okay, it's okay now? और थोड़ा कर देते. पैसे पे कर दिए? हाँ, बस इतना ही है. चलो छोड़ो. Okay? This is okay, I think so, right? Now, this is called as an comment guys. Okay? Now this comment can be a multi-line comment or a single line comment. So this is a single line comment. Now from wherever you are putting an hash over here, from there till the end of the line, it will be considered as a comment. Now if I want to put it over here, line by line documentation also I can do it. This is printing squared values. Now from here, it will be considered as a comment. Okay, clear? This is I'm putting at the starting. This I'm putting at the from the middle of the line. So from there, I can do the line by line comment. Okay. Now I can do the multi-line comment also. How we can do the multi-line comment? Again, you can use the multiple hash each and every line. That is not recommended. All you have to do it is use the single triple code like this. Single triple code. Now, whatever you are putting inside this single triple code, starting and the ending of this single triple code, that will be considered as a comment. You see, this is considered. Now, you can have the multiple lines. You can have a paragraph also inside this. Then you can be doing it. Okay, guys? Clear? Now, you have seen the, what are the things? You have seen the statements, single line, multi-line. You have seen the comments, single line, multi-line. Okay. Now let's move on to the next one called as a keyword. Now, before going into the keyword, now let's see that what is the nature of the Python, how it will be working over here. See, whenever you are talking about Python, Python was, uniquely designed compared to that of other programming languages. Now in Python, okay, whatever you are a value means usually if you take a data from the programming prospects, okay, from the programming prospects, if you take the data will be broadly classified into two types. What data we are going to use it in the Python, we will be considering into two types, or we can take it three types also. What are those is, one is a numerical type. Second one is called as a character type. Right? So data will be from the programming prospects. I'm talking about from the programming. Okay. So from the programming prospects, the data will be in the numerical format. And second one is called as character format. Okay. Now numerical format means numbers, 100, 200, 20, 30.45, all this comes under the numerical format. Now, character-wise, it can be a single character or a multiple character. Now, it can be A or Apple. It can be anything like this. And there is one more type is called, which is very unique, called as Boolean type also. Boolean will be having only two values. One is true and second one is false. Now, this we will see it later on. Just ignore it as of now. Okay, like this it will be. Just ignore it as of now. We are going to see it. Now, in this, what are the values we have seen, guys? Either it can be a numerical type and a character type. Okay, a numerical type and a character type. Now, whenever you are using a value in the program means in the editor. Whenever you are using a value in the editor, automatically it will occupy the memory. No need to do it explicitly. Automatically, it will go and it will occupy the memory. No need of pre-declaration. That is, we don't need it. In other programming languages, we have to do it something like this. See this, int. Okay, I'm giving it int a is equals to 100. This is in other programming language. Whereas in Python, a is equals to 100. Now, what is the difference between this? Can anyone from the Java background or C++, C, all this comes over here. See, here in the top one, it starts the executing from left to right. Okay, left to right. And in the down one, it will start from the right to left. Now, what is happening over here in the first case? In the first case, what it will do is like, it is an integer, right? So automatically it is an integer will be occupied. Just think that integer is occupying a 4 bytes of memory. So automatically a 4 bytes of memory will be allocated over here. And name to this memory location is A. That is A. Now this memory is allocated for what? 4 byte for integer. So 4 bytes was allocated for what purpose? Integer purpose. And what is the name given to that memory location? A, right? Now what value should come down inside that? Obviously integer only. If you are giving a string, it will not accept because you reserved this memory for the integer. So you have to give the integer over here. Okay, clear? Now in this case, how it will work is, first, as soon as a value is being used inside the memory location in our editor, automatically it will occupy the memory. First, it will occupy the memory. And for that, we are giving a name called as A. We are giving a name called as A. Okay. Now here A is, now here who defined this? This should be integer. Already we defined it explicitly. Now what is a type? What type of data is there? A is whatever the value inside this, based on that A will be having its data type. Okay, based on the value, whatever is inside, based on that, the A will be having the data type as integer. Okay, if suppose I'm keeping it as apple over here, it is what? String type, right? Usually it is a string type. Now, if I'm giving A over here, automatically A will be having the data type based on the value. Based on the value. Now, whereas in this case, we are explicitly defining the data type over here, and this will be allocating a memory, and this will accept only integer value, and we are giving a name called as A. Now, in this case, the value will be occupying the value, or what? As soon as you use a value in the program, that will occupy the memory. Definitely, it will occupy the memory. No doubt, it will occupy the memory. And what you are doing, you are giving a name to that memory location. Now, whenever I'm saying A, this is the one which is pointing to this A, apple, or this is pointing to 100, anything it can be. Okay, so basic stuff. Now, let me show you the same thing over here. I'm giving it as A is equals to 100. A is equals to 100. Now, if I print A, okay, A, what it will give us? 100, right? What is happening over here? Actually, a value is occupying the memory. For that memory location, we are assigning a name called as A. Now, A is called as a variable. In Python, the variable is defined as reference to the memory location. In Python, a variable is defined to a reference to the memory location. That is what it is happening over here. If I'm doing, this is a reference to the memory location. Okay, guys, clear? Now, this is the reference to the memory location. Now, when it is occupying a memory, usually when it is occupying, now you may say that if I'm saying it print, now, okay, let's do it 200 over here. What is this? This is occupying memory? Huh? Who said no? It's not occupying memory. Huh? Yes, speak it out. What you're saying? So if I said you, right? A value which is being used inside the program, that will definitely occupy the memory. What is the purpose of the variable? Huh? To hold the value. It is referring to the memory location. It is giving a name to that memory location. That's it. If suppose, what's your name? Aditya. Now, I don't know your name. It doesn't mean that you are not existing, right? You are there, right? I don't know your name. Then it doesn't mean that you are not existing, right? You are existing, but I don't know your name. It is occupying memory. Definitely it is occupying memory, guys. It is occupying the memory. But only thing is that I'm not given a name to that memory location. Now, every time I want to use the 200, I have to use the 200 value only. But in this case, every time I want to use the 100, I can use the name. Now, every time I can't say that guy who is sitting at the back, please get up or something like that. It's not right. If I'm saying that Aditya means you will get up, right? So this is where you are giving a name. giving a name to a value. But in this case, you're not giving a name to this. Now, will this occupying the memory? Yes, it is. Now, how to prove that? Anyone? Haji? ID. So ID is nothing but which tells us the address of the memory location. Okay. So when a memory is occupied, guys, okay, let me do it over here. See, if there is a value is there 100 over here. This is the 100. I'm using in the program. I'm confirmly saying that this will occupy the memory. Okay. When this is occupying the memory, this will have an address over here. It will have the address like this. Not this one, any address randomly, it will be given. Now, how to find out this address of this value? There is a function called as ID. ID is a function which tells us the address of the value or where the value is stored, the address of the memory location where the value is stored. Now, this one is the memory location where the value is stored. This is having an address. Now, you people are coming to Hyderabad, right? Now, your parents are saying, my son is staying in Hyderabad. That means to say that you are having an address of your own in Hyderabad. You're not staying in the streets, right? You're having an address. The same way, when a value is occupying the memory, means it will definitely have the address. Remember that. That address, we can get it by ID. There is a function called as ID. Okay. Now, let's see that whether the A is occupying memory, and I gave the name as A. Right? The A is, 100 is occupying memory. I gave the name as A. Now, A is pointing to memory location 100. So A should have the address, right? Print ID of A. ID of A. Now it will give us a memory location. This is the memory location. Now this is the value, right? This is the value. Is this value occupying memory? Yes, it is occupying. How to know that? Find out the address. Print ID of 200. ID of 200. I'm giving that. I'm finding the address. That's it. In this case, I can give it 100 also, guys. No problem. The both will be the same. You see? $100. Okay. Now this one, I will give it as print. I'm giving a separator to separate them. Now this one is nothing but 100 is a memory. 100 is a value which is stored in a memory location. For that, I gave a name called as A. Okay. Now A, I'm printing it. It is stored. It is printing the 100. I'm printing the ID of A and ID of 100. Okay. ID of A and ID of 100. Both should be same. Both address should be same. Now, in this case, let's see that what we are, whether this is existing or not, or whether it is occupying the memory or not. Got it? Clear? Okay, guys. Now see, 100 and A both are having the same, pointing out to the same memory location. That means A is pointing out to the memory location where 100 is stored. Now B, the 200 is stored in a different memory location. Different memory location. Now, if I run it again, will I get the same values? Will I get the same values? Why? See, the life of a variable will be as long as the execution is there. Life of the variable will be, this variable will be, this memory is occupied, right? This will be as long as this program is executing. Now you may say that, sir, this program is executing within seconds, it is going on, right? Yes, only that is the life of that variable. So once the execution is terminated, all the memory is freed. Now, when you are running again, so again the memory will be allocated. That's the reason why a different memory locations will be coming each and every time. Clear, guys? So the thing what you have to know it over here is whenever you are using a value in the program, I'm not talking about other programming languages. I don't want to care about that. But in Python, when you are using a value inside the program means in the editor, it will occupy, definitely it will occupy the memory. Definitely it will occupy the memory. Okay. It is like, again, if you are assigning the variable or if you are not assigning the variable, it's up to you. If you want to use that one again and again, assign a variable. Otherwise, don't assign a variable. But both the cases, the value will be definitely occupying the memory. If you take a simple example, now I will ask you a simple question over here. You are having a boxes over here. Maybe like you are having 100 boxes with you guys. Out of this, 50 of them boxes with the mobile phones or some boxes are there. 50 of them, you keep the GPS tracker. You know this? GPS tracker. With this, we can track it where that box is there. We can track it. 50 of them, there is no GPS tracker. No GPS. Okay. Now you took a flight over here. Flight is going on like maybe around 500 kilometers per hour. 500 kilometers per hour, and you travel with the flight for an hour. That means how many kilometers? 500 kilometers you travel. In this meantime, you dropped all these 100 boxes. In this meantime, you dropped it all the 100 boxes and you landed over here. How many boxes you can trace it out? Who said 100? 50. 50. What about the, why you are able to see, trace it out only 50? Now, what about the other 50? It's not there. It's there. But why you can't trace it out? We don't know where they are. We may trace, we may not trace about that. In the same way, if I am saying 100, A is equals to 100, this is like I am having a confirmed GPS tracker to this memory location. I can call that one at any given point of time, no problem at all. But if I am using 200 over here, no, you can't call them again and again. We don't know which location it is stored. That's it. If every time you want to call it, you have to use the value only. So that is the difference. So we have seen what is a variable. Variable is nothing but what, guys? Reference to the memory location or name given to the memory location. If this is the memory location, and I told you like each and every value, whichever you are using in the program will be holding a memory location. For that memory location, if you give a name, that is called as a variable. Now, in simple terminology, it is reference to a memory location is called as a variable. Or you can also say that name given to the memory location. Okay, clear? Okay. Now, this is how what is a variable is and what is a value. Now, which value? Now, here I talked about some of the not been seen. Yeah. Here, I talked about some of the types of data. What are the different types of data I talked? One is a numerical type. And this is a very broad view, guys. Now, don't ask me that, sir, data types are integers, floats, strings, and all those things. We are going to come down there, not to worry about. So in a very broad manner, from a broad prospects, if you want to check it out, the data types, we have two types of data we have seen it. What is that? Numbers and characters, right? These numbers can be further divided into the integers, floats, and further like the complex and all those things. And the characters can be divided into like strings and something like that. So this is nothing but types of data. Types of data. This types of data is called as data type. Okay. Now, data type is nothing but a type of the data. A type of the data a variable is holding, or the type of the data is occupied in the memory. To find out, that term is called as data type. To find out what is a data type, we are having a function called as type. We are having a function called as type. This type function will tell us the data type, guys. What is the address will tell us? ID is a function which tell us the address, guys. Okay. Now, how to print the data onto the screen? Print function. So how many functions we have seen it? 3 built-in functions we have seen it. One is a print function, will print the data onto the screen. Second one is called as like ID function, which tells us the address of the memory location where the value is stored. Now, type function, it tells us what type of value is stored in that memory location. It tells us what type of value. Now, let me show you this over here. Now, here I'm saying that 100. 100 is what? It is a numerical type. Under the numerical, there is called as integer. Now, integer means in a simple terminology, any number which is a positive or which can be a negative, including the 0, is called as integer. Okay? Any number with positive value, negative value, even 0 is called as an integer. Okay. What is a float? A number, an integer with a decimal value is called as a float in a simple terminology. Now, here I want to see that what is this? Is this an integer or not? I want to see that. How I will see it? Print type of A. Because A is referring to the memory location where 100 is stored. So I can use it type of A. Or I can also use it print type of 100. I can do it like this also. No problem. Both the cases it will work. Okay, it tells us what type it is. Okay, let me remove this. I don't want you to get confused, to make you clear. Now here you see it. Class int. Now, why it is saying that as class int is because whole Python 3.x is designed based on an class and object architecture. And that is the reason why any object in the Python, you can, anything in the Python, you can call it as an object. A variable can be an object, function can be an object, a class can be an object, anything can be an object. So sometimes the people will be using a term object because, you know, this refers to the Python because the Python uses a class and object architecture to design it. So the new version 3.x is specially designed with that. Okay. Now, okay. This is all about. Any questions, guys? There's a lot of messages. Same value. It's already stored. String. What is this? Gummadi? Like you can attend it from today, or we will be having a backup classes after this class. So you can be a part of that. Clear, guys? Any questions till now? Any questions? No questions? Great. Now, if you want to execute this one, yeah, he is having a question. Hello. So, like, let's see this. What is how to install the Python? Now we have seen this basic stuff. You may wanted to execute the programs, right? So first, guys, there will be a two-step process will be there. One is called as you have to install the Python. Second one is you have to install the PyCharm. So basically, you have to install the Python. How you have to do it is, now let me go over here. So here, Python download, you do it. Okay. This is an official site of the Python. Official site. And one more thing I want to let you know, Python is 100% free. No license. And open source. What do you mean by that? Anyone? That is free. That is free. Open source. Developing or enhancing. Enhancing is a term. See, actually, what is this open source is the source, the term source is specially used for the coding. Whenever you code it, they call it as an open source. Okay, like source code. They call it as source code. Whatever code you write it, they call it as source code. Now, this source code, what will happen is this source code is open for all. Everyone can go and look at your Python code. No problem about that. Okay. But you may get a doubt that why they are keeping it open. Some people may copy it, right? Yeah, there are some licenses are there. There are some open source licenses also there. MIT license is there, like, Apache 2.0 license. There is a slight restriction will be there. You can't create a complete, replica of the software, but you can see the code, you can copy the code, and you can build your own software which is different with a different code. Logic is same. But the disadvantage is, definitely it is a disadvantage. Opening your whole code is definitely disadvantage. But the advantage is much, much more than the disadvantage. What is the advantage is when the code is open, guys, when the code is open. So just like take a professional like me, I know how to read the code and I'm having a decent amount of experience. Now, tomorrow I'm building an application. Just imagine I'm building an application and some of the features are not there in the Python. It may happen. Python will not have everything. It will not have some features. So what I will do it is I myself create some features by using whatever the code is there. From there, I will do the extension and I will create a code for my project. And then what happens is by looking at the existing code only, I will do it, right? There will be some variables will be there. That only I will do it. With that, after completion of project, I delivered to I got a lot of money. But Python people are not charging a single pie with us. So out of gratitude of that, what we will do it is, I will give this code to the Python people saying that, sir, please look at this feature is not there with the Python. So why don't you include this one? This code will be later given to us in the form of a library. Okay, this code, whichever I'm giving it, that will be given to us in the library. Now, this in a due course of time, it went on such a huge number that is the major power of the Python now. That is the reason why Python is called, a term is used for the Python called as Python is always batteries charged. Batteries charged means, when you say that guy is really charged up, means is over energetic, right? He's doing everything energetic. That is called as charged up. Now, when you say that Python batteries are included, they call it as batteries are included over there. That means to say that whatever solution you wanted, you will get it in Python. Whatever, no need of looking at out of the Python. All the libraries are available with the Python. That is the reason. Now, if you go to the data science with the other programming language, you have to rely on the other third-party tools like Tableau or Power BI or so many data. But in Python, no need. Everything will be available within the Python only, and everything is completely 100% free of cost. Okay, that is the reason why Python is termed as batteries included. Remember this, and this is an open source and freeware, completely 100% free. Now, you may say that how the people are surviving, right? Immediately, they are doing such a great thing. If I implement a project, I may get it like 1 crore or something, but Python will not get a single pie. So we will donate it, not me. Like, the Google, all the applications in the Google are running with the Python. YouTube, Google, search engine, Gmail, everything is in the Python. Now, there's a lot of big applications, whatever is running, the Instagram, Python, and Python, then you no need to pay a single pie, guys. So because of that, it is like, these people will start donating it. They will donate a lot of money, especially the Google, Uber, these people donate a lot of money because they have to do the research work. And here you will be going it. You will see this. This is an official site. I'm going into the downloads. Yeah. Now, this is what is, guys. Now, you can see this one, a term called as donate. Can you see it? So this is what is where you can donate it if you want to donate it. Okay. Now, here is the latest version. Now, you can download it. You will get it a small exe file over here. Now, I'm already having a Python. So first step is download this and run this one, guys. Now, wherever you are seeing the check boxes, please go through each and every step. There will be a check boxes. Click on all the check boxes. Don't leave a single check box. Now, if I say it run, now let's see this. Now, I'm already having this. So it is asking that you want to modify, repair, or install. For you, when you are doing it for first time, you will be getting a checkbox over here at the bottom, guys. 2 checkboxes you are going to get it. One will be, I don't remember. The second one is add to the path. It will say that add to the path. Just do that. Okay, if anyone is having the laptop or facing any problem, please get me tomorrow. I will install it for your sake and I will show rest of all. Okay, first you have to check box and say next and next. It will download it. First you download the Python. After doing the Python, you know, there is something called, if you want to check it out, just check it out over here, Python. Then you should get it something like this. Okay, you will be having it. Now you go to this folder location, you can find the Python is installed. Now here I said it, right? IDE or IDLE. This is nothing but the default editor of the Python. Now what is this? This is not the default editor. This is the editor which is built by the JetBrains people. It's a third-party people. They develop this. JetBrains people develop this editor. So this is a third-party people. Now this one is the, you know, actual editor, default editor over here. If you click on this, you will get it just like a notepad. Got it? See this? It is like a notepad. It is. Now it is why we are not using this one means it is like a, you know, it is not so flexible. We are not having so much of flexibility over here. Now, if I want to print it, I will say print hello all. Okay. Now, if I close this one, I will get it hello all. But there is no help, nothing will be there. But this one is pretty effective for you. If you write it something, now you see this print. See, all I got it with the P. RI. Now you see this, I got the print with the syntax over here. So that is the advantage of this one. Okay, clear guys? Now first you have downloaded the Python. Okay, just go through this. I showed you, right? Just go to your Python official site, download the exe file and just click on this. It will say run and there will be starting. There will be a small checkboxes. Click on that checkbox. Don't forget it. And then next, it will be done. Okay. Then next thing is first download the Python and click on that path. Important. Then you go to the PyCharm. Again, you go to the Google. Google is again, PyCharm is not with from the Python org. It is a third-party tool. JetBrains. Okay. These are the JetBrains PyCharm. You can say that PyCharm download. These are the 2 versions will be there of the PyCharm. One will be the professional version where you have to pay it. No need of taking that. Go with the community version where you no need to pay anything. Click on this. That's it. Once you click on this, this will be downloaded. Here it is very slow. It will take some time. 355 MB of the memory, you know, it will take it some time to download it. Okay. Okay, it's doing very fast. Now, after downloading it, just click on this again, a small wizard will be opened. Just again, go for 1 or 2 clicks, and then it will ask you 4 or 5 checkboxes. Just click on the checkboxes and say that N, and it will be done. Okay. Now, after doing that, okay, let me show you if I can show you something like this. It's taking some time. Guys, if anyone facing any problem, most welcome to get the laptop tomorrow. I will do it over here for you. Like just connecting, everyone can see it very easily. Now here, if I do the run, now it will open up the wizard. Yes. Current version is edited, or editable is already installed. Do you want to continue? Yes. This is how you're going to get it. Okay. Now click on this. And okay, this is what is already, it is saying that would you want to uninstall this? All you will not get it. Normally you will say that next or something like that. For me, it is already there. Now it is asking the location. Now empty the folder. It is saying that already there is a PyCharm folder is there. You delete that one, and then you are, for me it is saying it because it's already there. For you, it will not say anything like that. Just say the next. At the last, you will get it 5 checkboxes, guys. 5 checkboxes. Click on all the checkboxes and say next. Once it has been installed, it will definitely take some time. Once it is installed, how you are going to get it is, you will get once you open it up, you will get it something like this. You will get a window like this. This window will be the last window for you people. Okay, you can see this window will be getting. Here you give your name. Like whatever the project name you want to give it. You can leave it like that also, no problem. But you can give it like your name and the Python or Python project, something like that. Then you say that create, automatically it will create and get up the complete environment setup. Okay. Then once the environment is set up, you will be having here 2 folders will be there, something like this. Okay, one will be the project folder, and then immediately you will be finding the EVENV. This is a virtual environment folder. This is already configured by the PyCharm people. Nothing you have to do it. You will be finding this one and this one, 2 only. Okay, and if you want to create a program, I strongly recommend is first click on this, the project name. Right click on this, you will get it a new, okay, first one new, and inside this you click on the directory. Okay, and then you gave your name like maybe Arjun or something like that. Okay, you give your name and you will get a folder over here. Inside this folder, start writing the code. Of course, you can do it directly over here also like this, but it is strongly not recommended because you are directly putting the file under the project level, root level. It is not strong. It is not recommended at all. You have to create a folder over here. Inside this folder, use the new and then use the Python over here. Previously, new and directory give you the folder, new and the file will give you the Python file. It will ask you the name and I will give it like my program file, something like that. Now you under the Arjun, you can find this. Clear, guys? Now, whatever you want to write it, you can write it. And I will strongly recommend how to execute is like right click in this. Don't go over here. This will be always showing you the previous one. So don't go over there. So right click on this and you will be seeing that run program file. You see, this is the program file and I'm running it. Once you run it, you will get the output over here. Clear, guys? So it's a simple process. The only thing you have to follow is first download the Python and then download the PyCharm. Don't do it in a reverse way. Once you download the Python will be stored in a specific location and you have to give it an add to the path. Then you download the PyCharm. PyCharm automatically it will go and connect and search to the Python, and it will do the configuration, and it will create the virtual environment over here, guys. Clear? Clear? Yeah. And like I will stop the class over here because I have to take the backup class for these people. Now